All righty, and we're live. All right, well, Brendan, thank you again for joining me tonight. For anyone who doesn't know, this is Brendan Ellis. This is my little brother, one of two. He's just 2 years in what, 7 days, 8 days younger than I am. So,
8 days.
um, not a much that separates us apart. Growing up, obviously, you and me were very close, and we kind of developed our bond. I would say maybe not as youthful as some people do. I think as kids, we were beating the shit out of each other, and maybe not being the nicest of brothers of all time, but as you know, time went on. I think throughout high school, and then obviously we went to South Dakota State together, and I think that's where we really developed our bond and our strong friendship that we still have here today. So I really appreciate you coming on and investing your time into something that I'm trying to build and go from there.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure.
Thank you, thank you. So, a little bit background about yourself. I know. So you went to South Dakota State. Obviously, you have your degree in exercise science. You're just about to be 26, and I always make the joke that's the same age that I had Freya. So, I mean, we'll leave it on the back burners for now. Newlywed. So, congrats again on that. And you also just got a recent promotion. Is that right?
I did, yeah, back in, well, technically, end of December, just started as a district manager for a fitness franchise that I work for out here in Nampa, Idaho. So it's been great so far. Been a busy month, but I'm very excited to keep growing in the management realm.
That's great. Yeah, as this goes on, I'd love to get more in depth of the fitness as well as kind of your Idaho, as you kind of took a very similar process with me as I did when you graduated college. That you kind of took a Western route where you rather than sticking around and trying to get your feet wet, you just went head first, and went right over to the West Coast in Idaho, which it's been great seeing you grow and develop, and I'd love to give more input on that about how you personally have grown through your times in actually taking that leap. But I think the first thing that I would love to talk to you about is I remember us growing up, and you were always a skinny guy. You were always kind of big into fitness, but you've kind of turned this path into your life where you've got your exercise science degree, and now you're managing gyms and you're doing the personal training. What kind of made you fall in love with the fitness industry? Was there like a specific moment or spark that kind of started it and you just kept running with it? Or what kind of is your take on that?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, our dad is a pharmacist. He does well, and that was kind of the vision going into college was, hey, I want to do. I have an aunt that's a pharmacist. I have a dad that's a pharmacist. Let's go do that. I know it pays well. I know they're pretty happy in their careers. So I went to SCSU and I did the pre-pharmacy route for like a year. And at the end of the day, I took like that first year. I'm like, I hate this topic. I have no passion for this at all. I don't want to work a job every day for the rest of my life because it pays well and I hate it.
Yeah.
So from there, I was like, okay, let's go into I looked in like the physical therapy route, which was exercise science minor. Then you go for some extra, or a bachelor, and then you go for some extra schooling. I did another year of that. I'm like, I don't think I want to do 4 more years because it's at least 6, if not 7 years for like a physical therapy degree. Um, and then kind of from there, somewhere in that like first year of college, second year of college, I joined Anytime Fitness as a member because I didn't like the crazy wellness center that was at this campus. There's a lot of
Yeah.
people. It's not my vibe. I'm trying to get in there and get a workout, kind of go home whenever I want to type thing. So I joined as a member, and then I really enjoyed the Anytime Fitness up in Brookings, South Dakota. And then kind of from there, I really enjoyed just like I like being in gyms. I like helping other people feel good about themselves. I love seeing people like develop themselves, both like personally on like a mental side, but also like physically. I think it's really really cool and like rewarding to see physical transformations, whether it's big to little or vice versa. I think it's really cool. And then, yeah, kind of from there, I finished college. I was an intern with Anytime Fitness in Brandon, South Dakota at the time. Did that for 4 months. And then from there, they asked me to be their assistant manager at 22, 21. Just finished like 21, about to turn 22, assistant manager. Um, and then I did that for like a year and a half. And then I had the opportunity to, it was kind of a crazy story how it all worked out, but I had the opportunity to move out to Nampa, Idaho, and run my own club, basically turn things around and see if I could turn things around, and more on that later. But yeah, we definitely turned things around, and it's been really good. And general manager for about 2.5 years, and then as of like a month ago, moved me into a district manager role. So I'm overseeing my club and then two other clubs nearby. So yeah,
That's awesome. Yeah. I think that it's funny to see, obviously our father has been a pharmacist manager for like 25 plus years. And that was my first route too when I went out west, is that I started at the entry level and then all of a sudden found myself in a store manager position, and you as well. So I don't know what trait or ability, I guess you could say, that the Ellis family has. I think we just are natural leaders, and I don't think that we're super vocal people in that sense, that we're not, screaming and hooting and hollering from the ceiling saying, "Hey, look at me, look what I'm doing." It's more or less of, I think we know the right things to do, and we lead by example. So, and I can personally attest to you that I think that people see you in there early, and they see you in there every single day, and your commitment to not only your own well-being, but just your commitment to making people better. And I think that definitely has made a great start to your young career. I mean, only being turned to 26 and already being in a district position, I mean, the sky's the limit for you. So I
yeah.
think that whatever you choose to continue to go down that route, it'd be fantastic. So, um, what do you think, working with clients every day, what is kind of like the number one thing that you see people struggle with on a day-to-day basis, would you say?
On a day to day basis, um, probably like accountability. Probably in
Hmm.
general, like that's a wide like term, especially for your health. But accountability to yourself to show up X amount per week. Like for example, like the minimum I would recommend somebody's like 3 days, 2 to 3 days a week. Just like holding yourself accountable to the reason that you decided to join the gym in the first place, the reason that you're going 2 to 3 days a week. Like life is crazy. There's so many things that are happening outside of your job. Most most people don't make time for the gym because for a variety of reasons. In my mind, it's some sort of excuse, to be quite honest. And that doesn't apply to absolutely everybody. There are circumstances where it's just not a good fit. Um, but in general, just yeah, genuine accountability to yourself. Did you get one body? You have one life.
Yeah.
Your health is so important. You can't do anything that you like to do in life if you're not healthy. Like think about that. If you're sick or like chronically sick, chronically overweight, chronically have like diabetes, dude, your life is a fraction of what it was when you were 20 years old. Just for an example. So
Yeah, I think that, excuses, it everyone's guilty of it, right? Everyone finds a reason, and especially as life goes on, when you get a significant other, maybe you have independence, so on and so forth. I mean, it is so easy to find excuses, and I even find myself doing that, holding myself accountable daily, where it's the procrastination and the excuses. I mean, even with my health thing going on right now, it's just like there's all these times where it's just like you could write it off. You could, and no one would second guess it, right? You could say, "Hey, you know what? I'm just not feeling today. I got this stomach thing going on, and no one would write it off. Everybody be like, "Oh yeah, no, take care of yourself, be good." But at the end of the day, you know what you're doing, and even though if you can lie to yourself and tell yourself that it's a righteous or a right thing to do, it's a struggle. It's a grind. So I think you are a great testament to it, where I see you daily, you're holding up to your own expectations. And I think something that you do great is that you set your own goals and your own goals for yourself, and I think you keep yourself up to that standard. And that's something that I've always admired about you, and I think that's something that I could do better for myself, is that a lot of the times I like to set goals and I like to think high, but then I find excuses. So especially in your realm of the health and fitness, yeah, it's the number. It's the same thing with sales. I always say numbers speak for itself. You can be the biggest talker in the room. You could have the wildest personality, but at the end of the day, when we pull your sales sheet, that's what you are. And I think that's the same with physical fitness. You could talk a big game, a great diet plan, this, that, and the other. If you show up 50 pounds overweight and you're telling people how to do their life, they're not gonna believe you. They're not gonna do anything with that. So,
yeah, dude,
um,
it's
yeah.
crazy. I mean, I've been in this for about 5 years now. Um, it's crazy to me that there's tons of them, and for whatever reason, they have their excuses for why they're that way. But there's a lot of people that work in the fitness industry that are not healthy themselves. I remember like growing up, there's like some PE teachers in our town that were like not healthy, and it's like I just do not believe in saying something and doing the opposite. I think that's the lead by example.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I practice what I preach. I think it's like normal to me. Like I think it's very unnormal to not like to put on a facade or whatever and tell people they need to be healthy, they need to follow, like, you need to track your nutrition, know your protein, stuff like that, and then just not do it. It's wild to me. And sometimes people like ask me at the gym, or I'm working out after hours or before hours, and they're like, "Oh wow, I didn't know you do this too. I thought you just sold memberships." Or like, and it just like baffles me. I'm like, no, I like every
Mm.
conversation I told you when you signed up, or like, I mean what I say. Like that's just who I am, I suppose.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, which is just a testament to you. But kind of going back to the marriage thing, so I have always said that, and Darian attests to it too. When we first got married, she felt like I changed drastically as a person, and I kind of felt it too. Even though it's just the cliche, it's pen to paper, and it doesn't really make a difference. I think it does. Obviously, you being a recently married back in June, would you say you in Nadine's relationship has evolved, or have you evolved more as a partner, or any of those senses?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely still early. It's been about 6 months since we've been married. We've been together 8 years in March. We've been married for 6 months. So we were together for a good long time before we got engaged and got married.
Yeah,
We've been living together for almost 6 years. Like we've been together for a long time, but still, I would say that the 2025 for us was like a big. We bought a house. Like I bought our first brand new 2025 build in April. We got married in June, and like it was a pretty big year of commitments and like new things. But yeah, I mean, I think in general, yeah, we got married, and then it's like, wow, this is real. This is forever. This is um, not to say I was like trying to be somebody else or like trying to do the right thing, but like absolutely everything is just so natural. Like your partner's your best friend. There's nothing. Um, I don't know. It's like it's not fake at all. Like it's
yeah.
real. This is forever. This is, and then you tie that with a house like, a few months prior, and you got all these new responsibilities for physically having a house, and it's like it was kind of just like an eye opening. Like, dang, this is adulthood for sure. This is it.
Yeah, it's the genuine relationship that you guys have always had with each other, which has been great. Like I said, I've watched you guys go through all that. Going to South Dakota State and then moving out to Idaho and exploring all those things. And I think your guys' relationship has absolutely evolved in the best ways possible.
Yeah.
I think that you guys have both acknowledged your differences, but also understood the things that you like to do together, and that has helped build the relationship that you have today. And I think that's a big part that a lot of people don't understand when it comes to relationships is there's a stigma of like, oh, the one or the perfect person out there for me. But I don't believe in that at all, and I don't think you do either. I think it's a partnership and it's a commitment, and when you commit to something and you share a partnership with somebody, there's ups, there's downs, there's highs, there's lows, and you have to tackle everything together as a team. So,
Mhm.
um, I think one of the biggest things that I do really well, at least on my side of the partnership, is that we do like communication. I think communication has been huge for us. It's been critical, and that's been developed, I guess, for me and Darren, just because we didn't live together. For gosh, I mean, she grew up in Emmitsburg, and then obviously we went to different colleges for a long time, and then we finally got to move in together. But I think communication's been one of the biggest things that has helped improve our relationship. Do you think there's something that you and Nadine have really focused on and locked in that has helped grow your relationship?
Um, it's a good question. I don't. Communication for sure is always going to be up there. That's one thing, like, as a leader of a business, I really preach on communication. I
Mm,
think that is the most, like, needed skill and or trait to have is being able to communicate effectively. But for us, I mean, it was probably, yeah, communication. Trust is another big one.
mm,
We've made mistakes in the past, whether it was like significant or not, but I think just being able to like going forward, especially getting married, like you have to trust your person no matter what. Like financially, you have to be able to trust them. And, as we
yeah.
joined bank accounts, that was new for me. So that was a developing thing. So I say probably trust, like in general, just growing that trust together.
Dude, when you said that you guys had joined bank accounts, I thought you had been body doubled and your real body was stuffed somewhere out in the mountains. I was like, wait, what do you mean?
We
I,
talked about that for a long time leading up to
eh?
getting married, and there was like a year ago, I was like, I don't know if we should, because I know like statistically finances is probably like top two of like divorce reasons, is
Yeah.
because one is done with money and one is not. Um, the more we got closer to the wedding and the more I thought about it, is like, okay, this is a partnership. This is forever. If I go get divorced in 20 years and I'm screwed and I have to split my money 50-50, that's on me. Um, that's my problem, to which I'm not going to have that problem. So, yeah, the finances was a big one for me.
Yeah. I
I spent
mean,
money a lot.
you've always been the saver. I always remember making fun of you and being like, dude,
Hmm.
just like you can make more money, but you can't get back the experiences, like spend it. And you're like, no, no, no. And then, yeah, I won't disclose the money that you gave to me one day, but you were still in college and it was well in the, well in the figures. And I was like, Jesus Christ, you're telling me if I would have just been a little bit smarter through all my time, I could be, as well off as you were. So, that's always something that you've done really well. But
Yeah,
it's to your point. The where you said the second leading cause of divorce in the United States is finances, and you're absolutely right. And me and Darian have been through the highs and lows of that. When we moved out to Oregon, we literally had $1,500 in our bank account and a new house, and just moved across country with no one to go to. So we are like, what the fuck are we supposed to do? You go to work, right? You build it and you build it up. And then we got to the wealthiest point we've ever been. And then now we moved across the country and we've had all these other woes. And now we're back in the trenches again. And it's just like, you have to have those conversations. You set up your budgets, you set up your allowances that you set yourself for groceries,
hmm,
what you got, all your bills coming up, so on and so forth. But you have to have, it comes back to communication. You have to have that financial conversation, which I know personally I always tried to like elude, like, oh, we're fine, we got a couple whatever in the bank account, don't worry about it, we don't need to talk about it. But it's like just taking 10-15 minutes of an uncomfortable conversation and just trying to plan those things out, I think can really make a benefit in a relationship. So, I'm sure you and Nadine have had. I know I don't want to put Nadine under the bus, but she's kind of like me. She likes to spend that green. So I'm sure you guys have had your fair conversations about such.
yeah, she's gotten better as we've grown together, and it's much better than it once was for sure. Like
Yeah.
knowing like her family grew up different than ours. They grew up. Um, I'll just say they grew up differently, right? And her mindset versus my mindset was like completely different. I mean, it still is a little bit, but it's much more reasonable and like both senses. It's um, yeah. I mean, I didn't create a budget till like 3 months ago
Mm.
after our bank accounts were together for like 3 months, and I was like, okay, we really gotta like fine tune this, and I don't want to be getting mad at you or vice versa because you're spending what you think is reasonable, but in my eyes that is not. So we,
Yeah.
we finally like sat down and had that discussion, and it was learning experience for sure.
I think budgeting is one of the best things that I've done personally as well, in the sense of Darian had always, just saw it as, well, I'm not spending that much, going to the grocery store, whatever it is. But until you actually put it like in an Excel sheet and say, hey, this is how much we spent on fast food last month, and you're like, $200? Like what? Or like, oh, hey, this is how much Amazon was. And at one point, I'm gonna throw Darian on the bus here, but it was like $800-900.
I know,
Yes,
yeah.
she was making COVID nurse money, but I was like, all right, what are we doing? Like, let's slim it down. Let's make it more reasonable. No one says you can't go to Amazon and be the Amazon warehouse, aka her nickname, but it's just being reasonable. But it goes back to that conversation. Yeah, just learning and growing and understanding what you can and can't do. And as that budget increases with more success in life, you can make those adjustments, and just being as prepared as you can for the future, and that's one way too of when you have a partnership with somebody, you're thinking way down the line. At least I do. I'm thinking about maybe our next house that we have, or the house that we want to raise our kids in, or the house I want to retire in, all these different things and investments, or the trips that we want to go on to. So, just being as open and honest as you can with your partner, I think is huge. So,
I don't mean to throw
um,
a curveball in that conversation, but going back to what we were just talking about with gym space, and now we're talking like budgeting. I hear it all the time, and it is honestly one of the most like just crazy things to me that like you can't, like for example, our gym's roughly $50 a month,
Mm.
and you go, if you you can go see, you just spent $200 on fast food, or you spent $150 going out for one night, and then you tell me you don't have enough money to care about your health enough, like $50 for once a month, and you can't afford it. You can't. I just can't make it make sense in my head. Like cardiovascular disease is literally the number one killer of all people in the United States, and 80% of the people don't have time or don't have funds for it, and it's just baffling to me. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
It comes back to those excuses, which sucks. And I don't know. I mean, me personally, I guess we grew up in a well-educated healthcare field in the sense,
Yeah.
dad's a pharmacist, our mother's an ER nurse, right? So all the tools or anything that we could have ever asked about health and wellness were at our disposal. I think I just neglected it. I just, I think I had that youthful ignorance in me in the sense of like, oh, I'm gonna be fine, and I was always an athlete and all those things, and I was just like, oh, this is cake. Like I can eat whatever I want, I can drink whatever I want, and I'll still go out there and perform better than most of my peers or anybody that we play against. And it just never really occurred to me until I was in my late 20s or mid 20s, and I had my back issue, and then all of a sudden you go from, hey, I can go eat 5,000 to 6,000 calories a day to, oh my God, if I eat 5,000 calories, I'm gonna gain 2 pounds. Like, and it's
Right.
just these trades off. But I didn't educate myself enough to where I went from 160, 70 pounds to, at my worst, I was 250 pounds. Like, that is almost 100-pound difference, and it was all because I didn't educate myself, and it was just the constant, I'll just eat whatever's there, I'll drink whatever I want, it doesn't matter because I'll just go work it off, I'll just do it, work it off. And so that hard realization in life was incredibly eye-opening to me in the sense of like, oh my goodness, a caloric deficit actually matters. Oh, I actually have to do a little bit of exercise per day, even with injury, even with that. And so I really hope that if people are out there and they don't have to go through those experiences, those extremes like I have. And I will never be the person to tell anyone their health. I've got no skin in the game. Like I said, I've been all over the charts. If you did 2-year increments and over the last 10 years, you'd see 5 different guys. Like I've been all over the place. So I'm not the picture of health, but all I can say is, yeah, if you can acknowledge that early and just take the baby steps. Find somebody like you who can actually sit there and educate them and talk to them and not talk to them downly. Like not say, "Oh, you fat piece of shit." Like what? Let's get your life together. No, like what are we struggling with? What do you not what do you know, what do you not know about the fitness industry or your health? And let's talk about it. Go to somebody who's educated and just get some advice, get some help.
Yeah. Dude, I remember that education, the word that you said is like, yeah, it's so important. You just got to educate yourself. We live in the most like advanced times. You can find like everything you want to know about a topic in 60 seconds of going to the right browser on your computer.
Yeah.
It's literally like the care to do it. Your education, like there's no reason to, honestly, the way that we're trending, there's gonna be no reason to not like do exactly what you want real soon. But for this topic, like, dude, yeah,
It's a neglect, I would say, and I'm absolutely guilty of it. And the one thing that I've just gotten better with was the caloric deficit. When Freya was born, or before she was born, I really decided to sit down and be like, hey, do I want to be the fat dad? Like sitting at 250 pounds at 5'6", I was a fat dad. Like if that kid was born, I'm like, woof, that's not good. So, but it was just I did what you said. I went into Google and I said, what is the fastest way to lose weight? It's not a certain exercise. It's not a certain food. It's nothing crazy. It says, hey, you need to burn more than you eat. And I go, well, how do I do that? And they go, you need to pay attention to the caloric intake. So you start looking like at the bag of chips and it says, oh, 150 calories per 7 chips. And there's like 100 chips in here. And you're like, oh, so if I down this bag of chips, that's 1,200 calories. So I'm like, Oh, so the late night munchies were 1,200 calories down the tank. All right. And then you go to the beer label. Oh, I love me some Bud Heavy. 12 Bud Heavies. Oh, that's 1,500 calories. Maybe I shouldn't drink 12 Bud Heavies, you know? But it's just, it was that's the little recognition. It just took the smallest amount of time to type into Google. Like I said, I'm not the epitome of health by any means necessary, but if there's anything I can say, it's just the little things that have helped at least myself going from a bigger gentleman to I like to think more moderately. So it's the little things that matter for sure.
Funny story on that real quick. I remember we were in California in like 2021. This was like
Mm.
COVID. And you and I, yeah, there was some alcohol involved, but like you got in like a debate with me on a pack of mashed potatoes, the total calories in that bag, because
Mm.
it said 150 calories at the top. I'm like, dude, there's 4 servings in here.
Yep.
It's not 150 calories. And you couldn't believe it. You just didn't want to believe it.
I guarantee you, yeah, I didn't believe that for a second because and like I'm not accusing anybody of labeling these the way, but you got to think the biggest print is the caloric intake,
Yeah.
and the smallest print is the serving size. So it's like
Mhm.
I'm not saying that I'm no conspiracy guy, but it's like they want you to see that 150 and be like, oh, nice, 150 calories, cool.
Dude,
7 servings. It's like, oh, not quite as cool as I thought it was, you know?
yeah, without going down that rabbit hole too far, like the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, can do some crazy stuff, and a lot of people do not understand. Just like in simplest terms, just because what they put on that label doesn't 100% mean it's accurate. It's all based on like per serving, per this, per that. Like you can have something that says fat free. No, it's fat free per serving, but as long as it stays within this, but there's 50 servings in this container, it's considered fat free.
Hmm.
It's crazy to me. And like for example, I have some protein Pop Tarts in my cabinet, and it'll say 20 20 grams of carbs, but you go scan that in like a food tracker, and it adds 100 calories. You're like, where did what? No, the package says 200, but this says 300. Oh well, because the FDA is saying there's 10 grams of fiber, so you can subtract that from your total carbs.
Hmm.
No, that like you still you. It's crazy. They can just do stuff like that and label it, and it's fine.
My most recent one was I was doing the iced coffees and the creamer says 5 calories and I go nice, I'm only taking in 5 calories, and then it goes 56 servings and I'm like, oh shit. So like doing the math, I'm like, even if I do like whatever ounces, I'm like, oh, so it's not even close, which
Yeah,
I'm like, whatever. But it's just those little things, right? It's so easy to be misconceived and so easy to just go, oh, I'm okay. Like this is right in the realm. But just take that extra time, break it down a little bit,
yeah,
maybe make yourself just a little bit healthier. But
yep.
I digress. But I kind of want to get back to the topic of Idaho, and a big part of my life and what that shaped me entirely is when I made that decision. I was on the path to be a teacher, and all of a sudden I got the call from my buddy Chen Hao and said, "Hey, I want you to come out and manage my bar." It wasn't even about that. It was about, oh, I finally had the opportunity to escape the Midwest, and I know for me personally, that was always kind of the word that I used was escape, and I was trying to get away from the Midwest. Not saying that the Midwest is a bad place, and obviously we grew up and we know a lot of people who grew up there that are great people,
Mhm.
but it was always to me that I needed to escape. So finally getting that opportunity and being there was one of the most euphoric feelings I've ever felt in my life, and it was one of the greatest 3.5 to 4 years that I've ever experienced. So could you tell me kind of if you felt the same when you got out to Idaho, and what are you currently feeling about being out there and everything moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think doing it at a young age too. That was one big thing. Nadine's a year younger than me, so I finished college, and I was very clear, like, hey, I don't want to stay in South Dakota. I don't want to move back to Iowa. Like, I want to get out of here and explore more that the world has to offer because I've traveled a lot. Luckily, we grew up traveling quite a bit. Like, I know there is so much more than this. Doesn't have to be vacation once a year. You could have a good chunk of this as part of your like daily lifestyle. It's just not here. So yeah, when we moved out here, as soon as she graduated college, she didn't have a job. She moved out here with me because I had the opportunity. She found a job and whatnot, but I think it's the growth that you can have, and like we had moving out here, having nobody. I mean, you were out here close. When I say close, 7 hours of driving.
Yeah.
That was the closest family member. We took that trip, every couple months, but not having the opportunity to like you have to figure everything out by yourself, from bills to insurance to doing my laundry when I don't want to. That anything like that, like you just grow. In my opinion, you can just grow so much by venturing out and doing something where you don't have any other choice besides do it yourself. So yeah, I absolutely love it out here. Idaho, I didn't even know where Nampa, Idaho was on the map, and we drove out here in May of 2023, literally to find out where we're potentially living, and I didn't realize how like beautiful Idaho was. Like most of the state is like mountains, and I
Mm.
had no idea about that. Where we live is like just south of the mountains, but you can see the whole mountain range. Um, it's an hour from our house to the top of a mountain where we snowboard all winter long. Golfing is insanely cool out here, which I do most of the year. There's just crazy views, crazy things. There's so much to do out here. And I never felt like that in the Midwest. I felt like, especially like South Dakota, that last year, the winter was brutal. And I was like, I have to get out of here. The only thing I was literally looking forward to weekends to just get drunk and hang out because I was like, there's nothing else to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how it felt. You couldn't really snowboard there. There was like a little bump that you could do. That's my passion in the winters. Besides that, it's freezing cold, like 6 months of the year, or super hot and wet the rest of the year. And it's just, I think it was that last year. I was like, dude, I got to do something different. This isn't good. This isn't healthy. I'd be like Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Like, let's just go drink and hang out with buddies and continue the college lifestyle when I was not in college.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, dude, something's got to change. And I knew that it was like environment for sure.
Yeah, always said for me personally, like it's I don't know how to describe it in any other way than just the feeling you get when you're actually in that environment, you know? And people always say like, "Oh, well, you say you go to the mountains and the beach and the cities and all that stuff, but like you haven't gone to the beach in a month. Like what's the difference between here and the Midwest?" It's the opportunity. It's the availability of it that truly like it is just a completely nerve settling thing. When you feel landlocked or you feel like you physically can't do it if you want to, it always crippled me inside. And this I was the exact same way where it's like, fuck, well why can't we just pass the time and let's grab some booze. Let's play video games for 15 hours of the day just to piss it away when, it's just completely pissing away time. And so and even in Oregon, I did spend a large majority of my time, spending time with Darren Inside or working 65 hours a week. But having that time where I finally had like a day off and I could take Horace to the mountains, or we had that day off and we went to that beach, even if it was 2, 3, 4 months apart, just having that availability is life changing. So I'm right there with you. I truly think that when you were that young and you have that opportunity, I preach it to the hills. Like take the risk, take the opportunity, and if it doesn't work, so be it. You can always go back. One of my first employees I ever hired was actually from Sioux City, Iowa, and he was only out in Oregon. He made the drive all the way out there. He was staying with a buddy. It only lasted 3 months, and he's like, "I am so homesick. I got to go back." And I was like, "What can I do to help you get back there?" And that could happen to a lot of people. I mean, but at least he took that risk. He took that jump, and for the rest of his life, he'll go, "You know what? I tried going out there. It's not for me. I know that I'm meant to be where I grew up or where I was at the time before." So, but just like checking off those boxes, making sure you don't leave anything behind so you don't regret it later down in life is so important to me, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree for sure. Opportunity, I think, is the word that sticks out in my mind of what you said there is. I mean, we talk about this. Me and Nadine will talk about this. It's like spur of the moment. Let's go snowboard like tomorrow. It's like you can't do that where we lived, South Dakota or Iowa. Like it's a whole weekend trip. Like you have to plan
Yeah.
that. It's like a 6 hour drive. Same thing with going to like the mall. We have like a really nice mall 20 minutes away. That's a day trip. In like going from Spencer to Sioux Falls, for example. Like that's 4 hours of driving. That's a whole day when you shop and travel. And it's like this, we can do it in 2 hours and come home. And
Hmm.
it's just the opportunity is what I like.
I think one of the biggest misconceptions at least for me personally, was that everyone says, "Oh, the West Coast is just so crazy expensive. If you go out there, you're just gonna go broke. This, that, and the other." And I always, it could be. There are houses like in Oregon. We were looking at houses. They're $600,000 plus. Or if you want to go to all these crazy events, like if you want to go to a basketball game, it might be $120, like little things like that. But at the same time, the pay out west is so much better than the Midwest and other places in the area. And if you can spend your money correctly and do smaller things that aren't going to be those big extravagant purchases, I think it's way better. I have found personally from going from the Midwest to the West Coast to back that we had more money and more opportunity out west than we ever did in the Midwest. There's so much more opportunity out west to make more money. And then if you manage it correctly and do smart things with investment, it doesn't matter anymore. I haven't noticed a drop off in groceries when I was out there. Gas prices were maybe like 50 cents more. But like in all, the living situation was no different for us because we didn't treat it like an extravagant life. We didn't make and go out and spend all a ton of money.
It's very dependent. Like money management is the key word there. Is yes, some fields do make a lot more out here, but a lot don't. There's a lot of like comparisons across, but it's all about how you spend your money. Like, yeah, the house that we bought was, I'm not gonna throw out numbers, but like when I told mom and dad like I'm buying this house, my mortgage is more than theirs was, and their house is 3 times the size mine is. But at the same time, if you're smart with your money, and I mean I make it work. We manage it because to me like getting a house was super important. It's something I've really wanted to do, so I make it happen one way or the other.
Yep.
But, yeah, and it's not to say that we just make way more money out here. That's way dependent on the field, but in this situation, not a lot.
Yeah. But yeah, I think to your point, it's as long as you can manage your money correctly, it doesn't matter where you live. So that was always just the big thing that I always told people. They're like, oh well, it's just so much expensive, so I don't want to move out there because it's just too expensive. It's like I don't think it's a valid excuse. We'll put it that way. Bless you, by the way. Um,
Excuse me.
you got the allergies in Idaho.
Now I'm getting sick, I think.
That's always fun too. So I have a fun question. Looking back in obviously growing up together, and I got to spend 16 years of my life with you. What is there a memory that sticks out to you about us off the top of your head? I could share mine first because I have time to think about it. I think one of the coolest memories that I had was when it's a very simple one. We were driving just to Spencer Tiger football field because we had a game that night, right? And I remember just blasting the weekend, the highlights or whatever the fuck the song's called.
Yeah.
But just like getting in that mood and like knowing you were there and you were on varsity playing too and just like ready to go into battle with your brother, like that was such a cool fucking feeling to me. And like being able to be that role model, and I always felt like I was a role model to you in the sense that growing up I always tried to do the right things. I always tried to be a good, I never drank, I never smoked, I never partied, I never, I had one girlfriend, like all these things, just trying to be the best role model I possibly could be for you. But like to have that full circle moment of like, we're going into war and this is fucking like, let's go, And so I didn't know if you had a similar moment or something close to that.
I mean, it's crazy because when you asked me this question, and this is not, you just asked me this on the spot. Before you spoke, the first thing that comes to my mind is when me and you were co-linebackers in the same game. Like there's a picture of that out there of you and I like being the 2 linebackers on a team on the same field. That's like the one thing that when you first said, what's the first thing that come to mind? That was it. Because yeah, I mean, football was a big passion for both of us. Obviously, yeah. You went on, you had a lot of passion. You went on to play some college ball. But yeah, dude, that was a really memorable moment for sure. I mean, it was that or like just beating the crap out of each other and Landon and Lauren sometimes. Like,
yep.
But there's just too many moments there. It's like one moment, yeah, probably that one game where we played together.
That was cool. Yeah. We were all of us were kind of roughhousers growing up. But I think that, it built into football for me and you. I think that we were always the kids on the team that were never afraid to hit anybody. I was going through that motherfucker no matter who it was, how big they were, it didn't matter. And I think it kind of was instilled from us as young kids. Is just truthfully, we were beating the crap out of each other. Obviously, it's not great to do, but it gave us that mental toughness and that mental edge that made us as good as we were. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you were a captain on
Hmm.
the football team as well, and
Yeah.
it's just to lead a group of men into battle, and that's truly what football is. You are putting on armor, and you're going in there 110% and just hitting people. In order to be blessed with that honor of being the leader on that team, you got to go through some trials and tribulations. You got to show a lot of people that you're out there to, and you mean business, and you're not afraid to hit, you're not afraid to do the dirty work, and so yeah, full circle moment where we both got to be in those positions, I think is really, really cool.
I agree.
But of course, after that picture was taken, I almost tore my MCL because you got pancaked. So
Murdered.
shortly lived, but it's all good. It's part of the game. That unfortunately my entire career was dwindled by injuries and has led into my adult life. But that's life. You live and you learn. I wouldn't trade anything, nothing ever, for any of the experiences that we had. So,
Yeah.
but cool. I guess leading more into the more topical questions of the more broader questions about yourself. This is kind of a very broad one, but when you look into the future, what kind of vision pulls you forward? What makes you wake up every single day and say, "I'm ready to take on today. Let's go attack the day."
Uh, Probably just like the ability of the fear slash ability of like wanting to take care of my family, myself, both like physically, financially. Um, I I've always been a saver, like we've talked about. I have never ever like the word like paycheck to paycheck. That lifestyle scares the living crap out of me. So like building myself up on a personal level to get a job and like build within that job and make more money, but more so just like have a stable job. That I mean, probably that right there is just I don't ever want to be broke. I don't ever want to struggle to provide for people that I need to provide for. Wife, potential kids in the future. I will never be like that, and I think that's just the mindset of I want to have a good life for me and my family, and I don't care what it takes to get there. I'm going to do it one way or the other. I think that's what gets me out of bed on those mornings when you do not want to get out of bed. I think that right there.
Yeah, I think the fear of failure, and it's not in yourself, but failing others,
Yeah.
is definitely a motivating factor. And I feel that way too, where I think for me personally, it's very easy to let myself down in the sense of like if I fuck up, or I've always said I'm not afraid to fail. When it comes to me, I'm not afraid to fail. But
Yeah.
when it comes to my family and to the people around me to fail someone else, it drives me mad. If someone says, "Hey, I need you to do this for me," or "Hey, I need this to happen," it's something. Yeah, it's that extra switch in the back of my brain that just says, I gotta focus, I gotta give everything to this, and make sure that it goes through. And it's definitely a absolute motivator. And even for you just getting started, just getting married. Obviously, you've been with Eve for a long time, but potential kids or potential businesses that you want in the future. That drive of waking up every day and remembering that is huge. So, would you say that do you find yourself doing any like self-reflection throughout the day and like looking back of what you're trying to build or what you've accomplished, or do you find yourself that it's more of like in droves of periods where you're like months go by or weeks go by and you're like, oh man, now I've got to look back at it like, I've been doing some good things.
Uh, it's a good it's a that's an interesting question. I don't know if I'd say daily. Like I reflect on the day. I'm like, hey, this is what I did. Probably more so on like a weekly, like work, for example. Like we do like a weekly. Okay, what did we do this week? What were the numbers? How did we do? Um, I feel like Sundays for me, like end of day Sunday, the whole week just went by. I got to go back to work tomorrow. It's like, okay, what did we do this week for work wise, and what do we do for fun outside of work? Was it productive? Was it enjoyable, or did I just piss away another week because my mindset wasn't in the right place, um, physically wasn't in the right place. Maybe it was a piece of crap this week and worked out once, something like that. Um, yeah. I mean, that's probably what I would say for that.
Weekly self-reflection. I
Yeah.
think as running a business, I found myself in a very similar position where, yeah, you have that one day where it's technically a week reset, and then you're like, okay, let's look at the numbers, let's look what we accomplished last week, and so on and so forth. So that's when a part of me truly tried to challenge myself into do it like a daily self-reflection, like take time out of each day to reflect. And I think it really sparked when I had Freya, and it started to be like every single day is so precious because I know that I have only 18 years, and obviously she'll stick around, and but it's like, you truthfully, when you have kids, you got an 18-year window until they go and develop and become their own person. And so it's just like, if you waste those days, a week could go by, a month could go by, and you're like, oh my goodness, I just, what happened? What did we do? How did we spend our time together? And how did we create memories? So at least for me, I really push a self reflection daily, trying to just take, whether it's in the morning, reflecting on what you're trying to accomplish, what you have, what you're trying to gain, or at night when you say, hey, let's take 5 to 10 minutes out of my day to self reflect back on what I did today to push forward, and just get the most out of the day. Because I think, with the societal needs and stretches of, I need to pay my bills, I need to, make my sales quota, I need to do this, I need to do that. It is so easy to just get the days washed together and just turn it into a melting pot. So I think doing that as much as possible can give you a huge advantage in your own perspective of life.
Yeah.
Forget all the trials and tribulations. Just take a second and recognize what you have. I try and do that every single morning, where I wake up and say, hey, I've got a beautiful family. I've got a wife. I've got a daughter, another daughter on the way. I've got a good job, my health. I'm at least not dying yet, not that I know of. And I got good friends, good family, and all that fun stuff. So,
I guess
um, I,
I definitely do that in a way, maybe a little bit differently than you. But when you explain it like that, I'm like, oh yeah, I mean, I kind of do that every day, right? Like I get up, I have a routine, like I prioritize. Okay, what do I need to do today to be successful? Um, typically it's I got my morning routine. I try and read like some sort of development, something that's gonna benefit me. I try to do that in the morning to like start my day off right, and I would say 95% of the days I get to work. I take 30 seconds, like just turn the music off, turn the car off. It's quiet. I say a prayer. I say a prayer and I just kind of take a deep breath. Literally about every single day I do that. Prayer, deep breath, open my eyes, open the car door, and go into work. And to me, that's like, it's a form of self reflection for sure.
yeah.
But it's like that communication with yourself.
I like that. Yeah. And we'll get more into the religious aspect of things down the road, but yeah, no, I think you're right. It's everyone has, I think, a certain way that they can process things, self-reflect, and get going. I find that I've tried to read a lot more recently. Mine's not more of like on your end of leadership and so on and so forth. Mine's more of the historical, all the fun stuff that goes with that. But I have found more toward the end of my day is when I find myself reading just to kind of close it out. Would you say reading in the morning kind of sharpens your brain a little bit, kind of gets you in tune to take on the day?
For me personally, yeah, for sure. There is no chance I'm doing reading at night. It just doesn't happen. I'm a night owl. My brain goes crazy at night, regardless if I'm tired as crap. You can ask Nadine. I get up, or I'm just like rustling in bed at midnight, and my best ideas come to me as I should be sleeping,
Yep.
but I just can't get up in the morning most times. Like, and again, I am fully aware that is a choice, but my choice right now is to struggle to get up. And like I work out at night. I work out at like
Mm.
6:30, 6:30. Get done by 7:30. Whether that's because there's caffeine in my system still or whatever it is, I think best at night, for like new ideas, what's going on. But to me, like starting your day with some sort of reading doesn't have to be development, doesn't have to be religious. I mean, it makes your brain think for sure. It like starts churning the wheels, having a coffee with while you read in the morning. Every day I remember to get up and like read 10 minutes. I feel so much better throughout the day, and I like just starts your day off better. And I literally set a alarm every single day at a certain time. It says read for 10 minutes because fairly recently I kind of fell out of that and I got in the slump of just sleeping in 10 more minutes and then I don't have time to read. No,
Yeah.
I set this alarm. I'm like, okay, I'm doing this. This is such a silly thing to sleep for 10 minutes versus read for 10 minutes. Like, the sleeping is going to do nothing. The reading is going to do something.
Yeah. No, I think that's you're absolutely right. Um, I have noticed now as I've kind of self-developed and found out more about myself that kind of the best way that I can unscramble my brain, like I have the same thing where at night my brain is just racing, where I have this idea, this I want to try this, blah 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 blah. But the best way that I have found to like kind of silence the voices, if you want to say, is that I either do like a self talk where I literally just sit there and talk out loud for however long I need to, or I write it out. Like I literally go to my computer and I just start typing. And until that brain is empty, I'm just typing away. Do you have anything like that when the voices are a little bit loud at night that gets you to clear your head or anything of
I
that sort?
need to. I need to figure
Yeah.
out a way because no, I do it all like at night. Like every night at midnight, I'm rustling around and honestly, it typically goes in this order. Let's go check every single financial account, my investments, my bank account, my
Mm,
credit cards, all that stuff. For whatever reason, almost like nightly, my brain goes there and then it goes to, okay, tomorrow's schedule for work. Like, let's look at all the employees. Let's make sure I know exactly when I wake up. I know what I'm walking into for the day. Um, it's that. I try and stay off social media because if I don't, my brain will just stay on for a while because I just watch some stupid video.
mm,
Um, typically it's like work related or like personal, like, hey, I got a trip coming up this week, I gotta do XYZ, I gotta do it now. To me, I just have to do it all. I have to get it all out of my head, even if it's till from 12 to 1 and then I go to bed and I lose an hour of sleep. I gotta, I need to find something better, a better way to do it. But currently it's just, let's check off all those little boxes before you go to bed, and when I've looked at everything and I feel good about tomorrow, my brain like turns off.
oh, it turns off. That's fair. I mean, it's when you've got a lot going on and there's a lot you're trying to accomplish, it definitely can keep you crazed. I think my process of it is that I have found, so I've always done like the meditation thing, and that's really helped clear my brain. But I find that more helpful during the day when I need to take pauses or breaks and anything like that. What I've recently found, I would say in the last year or two, is that I don't know if you've heard of ambient music or ambience or the white noise, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Turning that on when the voices are just so loud and you just can't turn it off. Just saying, hey, I'm stopping whatever I'm doing. I'm finding I have a playlist now, but just finding that tone that just is the subtle, and it's just enough to calm me down, just to say, hey, let's slow it down. Whatever's racing in your brain doesn't truly matter. You'll figure it out. And then if I need to take those extra steps, hey, Darian, you got 20, 30 minutes. I just want to talk. Like, just literally just let me rattle off. It doesn't even have to make sense, but just let me talk. Or, hey, I'm going to go down to the computer. I'm going to write for 30, 40 minutes. So those are the three things that I have truly found has helped calm me down. And I feel fantastic afterwards. I'm hitting that pillow and I'm out like a nightlight. So if you ever want to try any of those, I think it wouldn't be a bad idea because I know that mindset. I know where it can just get crazy and then you're not sleeping well because you're constantly thinking about it, or you wake up the next day and you're just like a lightning rod out of bed because you're like, oh, I just got to attack it. But trying to slow things down a little bit and just know that, hey, it's all gonna figure itself out, or it's gonna be okay. Let's just get
Yeah.
to the next day and move on.
When you say like ambience music, explain to me like what do you do? Like what is that?
Yeah, so ambient music is more or less just like a lot of the times. One of my most recent one is a Celtic ambient sound. So basically, it's like flutes, different piano playing, different things like that. It's just very subtle instruments with just general tones and also imagery. So like obviously one of my favorite things to watch is like medieval stuff. So like it's just a Celtic medieval like 1200, 1300 settings of just a blank video, no words, and just like that tone. And I haven't done the research, so you can't quote me on it. But essentially, what I have found in my own research and looking up articles is that there's certain tones and waves and musical instruments that basically can help calm you down and help soothe the nerves. And so it's just hearing those noises, seeing those images, there's something settling about it where it just declutters your brain and just calms you down. And it's worked for me, and I really love it. So but yeah, if you ever give it a try, if you just type it into YouTube, anything, it'll say just ambient music.
Okay.
It's got a whole playlist, um,
All right.
but I digress. So, what do you think your younger self would be most surprised to learn about who you are today?
Mm. I mean, the simple answer would be like living in Idaho. Like who? I didn't know where like Idaho really was. That was like that one weird state. It looks weird on the map.
Oh yeah,
Uh, it's like, dude, you live there? Like that's kind of crazy. Um, the general stigma or whatever you want to call it about Idaho is like the potato state, dude.
potato farmers, yes
I
sir.
don't see potatoes anywhere. I see
Uh,
mountains and I see opportunities and things to do. Yeah, there's potatoes on like the southern side of the state, but I think just like, yeah, knowing that I live like 1,000 miles away from my nearest family member, like at least 1,000 miles, but I'm like super happy and like Nadine's out here with me. I'm not doing this by myself. I think that is what I'd be surprised if I was 16.
yeah. Um, Mine's kind of the opposite, where I was like, if I were in my shoes and I'm like, oh, I'm back in the Midwest, like, you mean to tell me you made it out there and now you're back, you son of a bitch, you know? And obviously, there's good reason for it, but I'm in the same boat where it was just like, I think growing up, the world was the possibility, like you could do anything, but ending up where you guys are right now, I would have never said Idaho. I was the same way. It's that goofy looking
Yeah.
motherfucker on the map,
Yeah.
and it's way out west. So I think that's really cool. And I hope you guys continue to have a ton of success and ton of fun out there. Me, I think the first time I ever went was helping you move into your first place. And so yeah, when I was driving out of Oregon and seeing it, I was like, hey, it's still got some mountains out here. We're not, like everyone says, oh, it's the potato farm. It's flat. There's nothing there. It's like, nah, there is. I mean, there's certain parts. I mean, no different than Oregon. So, but it is a beautiful place, and it's been great to see you guys kind of develop into that. And
Yeah.
um, I think both of our younger selves would truly appreciate the risks that we've took in our lives. But
Sure.
um, what do you think is a painful truth that you had to accept about yourself growing up?
Painful truth. Um, Probably just like mistakes. Mistakes are okay. Uh, I feel like that's something that you get like taught growing up in school and whatnot is like you cannot mistakes are bad. You are a terrible person if you make mistakes. Um, it's okay to make a mistake. You learn from it and like that's like all business, every like business person you listen to or talk to, they made a lot of mistakes to get to where they're at now. You don't learn unless you're 100% perfect and you just chose the right decision every single time. You learn from mistakes and there's no way about it. And I feel like just when you're young, you have that idea of like, dude, I can't do that. That's mom and dad might not like it. It's like they might not care at all, but just yeah, dude, mistakes are okay to make as long as you learn from them and don't do it again if it was like a really bad one. I think it's and obviously there's a lot of like you can't there's certain mistakes you can't do, especially as you're young, like physical things, violence, stuff like that. Those are not okay mistakes to make, but there are so many mistakes that you learn when you're young and you're like you cannot do that. At the end of the day, it's not that big of a deal. You learn something from it. You're not going to probably do it again, and you're going to become a better person from that. So,
Yeah, I think, us growing up, and I think mom and dad did an incredible job, and they're incredible parents. But I do think there was that extra stress of like mistakes, and I'm right there with you, where it just felt like it was, and maybe it wasn't even them, maybe it was just the community that we're in, or maybe it was just things that we put on ourselves. But yeah, mistakes were just it was like life or death. It felt like at the time, where it was just like, oh my goodness, if I do this and this is the outcome, then I'm gonna be in so much trouble, or like it's gonna ruin everything. And so I think that was like even the drinking thing, where it was like I didn't drink till I was 21 because I had it ingrained in my brain. If I drink one time, I'd become an alcoholic and I'd fail at everything I ever want to do again.
Yeah.
And it was that fear of mistakes that just kept me from doing all these things. And so I think you're right on the money. And obviously, you and me now both being in a field of, obviously you're not sales particularly, but you do sales.
Yeah.
We always, the saying was that at 25% close rate, you're meeting one of the best standards you can, if not higher. And that's saying you talked to 100 people and you only sold to 25 of them. That means you fucked up or didn't close 75 times, but you're still one of the most successful people in your field. That's crazy. But that's reality. That's the truth. But for us growing up, or for me personally too, it was like, I got to be 100 for 100, otherwise I'm not doing the right thing, or I'm doing something wrong, or I got to
Yeah.
change something. And having that mental matureness of going, oh, like it's okay to fail, it's okay to not land that, but it's not okay to accept it. I guess you
Yeah.
should say it's okay to make the mistake, it's okay to fail, but it's not okay to accept the outcome and just keep
Yeah.
trying to get better and improve.
For sure. I think when you look at like sports, for an example, sports are great any age. Like when you look at sports and you look at like the most successful athletes, they fail way more than they succeed. You look at a professional baseball player, you hit 300, which means 3 out of 10 hits you're getting on base. They're also like they're the best of the best. They fail 70%
Mm-hmm.
of the time. Same with shoot good shooters in the NBA. Like they're failing 60% of the time. Um, and going back to what you were saying earlier about like growing up and like making mistakes, I think it was just because of like I was worried about a reflection on our parents because we have very lucky, we have great parents. I've always felt like it was just I don't want to mess up because it's a reflection on them. I'm going to disappoint them. I don't really care about myself. You can think what you want of me, but like that was the mindset growing up is I don't want to disappoint my parents type thing.
Yep, I agree. The saying that always stuck in my head was both mom and dad were like, "You are the older sibling. Everything that you do, your siblings will see and they will follow." And it wasn't a bad thing to put on my shoulders, but that guided me every single day. Every single choice I made, it was like, "Well, how is Brendan going to see this? How is Landon going to see this? Well, what does Lauren think?" But back to the parents too, where I have the Ellis name very proudly, and I've always referred, like in the military they called me Ellis. I mean, you just go by last name, but that's what I've always preferred for people not knowing who I am. They see my face and they say Ellis. Like I have always truthfully, loved our last name and felt very strong about it, and so I completely agree. It's always felt like a badge of honor, and I think that's a good thing to have. I think that a lot of the times people aren't afraid to fuck up or give off a bad image because they want to do something and it's about them and it's not about anybody else. But when you have a family and you have people that care about you and that you reflect on it, it's huge. It's very important. And you're carrying on that family name. As little as it means. Darian asked me one day. She's like, "Well, you're gonna have two daughters, and they're gonna get married and probably not carry on the Ellis name. Doesn't that matter to you?" And I'm like, in a sense, it kind of hurts, but at the same time, it's not about the Ellis name. It's about the values and the traditions that we carry and we carry as people. And I think that comes all the way back from like the Potters and the Sherwoods on grandma's side. It's just always, I always remember grandma saying, "Oh, that's the Potter in me," and it was always towards something good, and it was like that's the weight of it. Even though now she's an Ellis, she brought over the Potter side, and it's a belief and a way you hold yourself, and you take pride in it, and you take pride in the family around you. So
Yeah.
I think it's a great thing. So if that's one thing that I can instill into my daughters is to be proud of who you are and where you come from. Um, I hope that's something I can achieve, and I think we carried that well. I think we all do. I think all four of our siblings, you, me, Landon, and Lauren, carry that well. I think we've carried the Ellis name well, and hopefully we can continue to carry it on to our next of kin. Even if I'm the only one, I guess we'll find out, but
Hey,
probably not.
we're young. We got a lot of life. There's probably kids in the future.
Yeah. So, kind of gearing the conversation towards a societal standpoint, what do you think modern society takes most for granted with our human existence?
Oh, uh, takes for granted.
Or what would you say is our humanity's greatest blind spot?
I mean, current blind, like when you ask me that question, the second one like sticks out, like blind spot of like what's wrong with humanity, to so to speak, is like to me right now, and I don't know everything. I have very limited like scope of what I care about and like pay attention to. But when I see all these issues and crap, it's like social media related. The social media is it's twofold because it's like creating millions and millions of jobs and creating lots and lots of revenue, which is cool. It sometimes positively impacts people. But from what I see is like it's 90% very negative and very it wastes a lot of time. It destroys genuine communication. Interactions are from I don't I just think like 10 years ago to now even it just the way people interact because of social media is so weird. uh, Most people it's hard to find like a genuine person to just have a talk to because it's
Yeah.
like dude there's a different person behind their phone, they're a different person on social media than they are in real life, and I think that's just the craziest thing to me because I don't care about social media. I literally, I mean, you can go look at my stuff. I post like maybe once a year, and most of the time it's like as I grow older, it's like big things. Like I bought a house, I got married, I
Yeah.
moved to Idaho. Like that's my last like 3 posts in 3 years. Um, or it's literally to like inform my family and extended family and friends of something that I'm doing. Facebook, for example, like I post maybe once a year. It's literally to like show grandma and grandpa that what I got going on. I don't really care if how many people like it or whatever. It's literally just I feel obligated to share a little bit to those that I don't talk to that much, just so they know, hey, Brendan's still alive. He's still doing well. Um, but dude, not so much of social media is terrible and it's time consuming and it does nothing for you. Um, so I'm a big I don't like social media. I wouldn't have it if I didn't have to like post social media stuff for work, because it's a great tool to get prospects and get like it's the I mean that's the era that we're in social media. But I'm not a fan. I am not a fan of that at all.
I'm 100% with you. It took a lot of time and thought for me to re-download all these things. I think it was in 23 when I deleted everything, and it was. I tell people all the time it was the best thing I ever did. I was the straw that broke the camel's back was one night I was like, oh man, it's 11:30. I gotta go to work tomorrow. I'm tired. Let's go to bed. Let's just open up the phone.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, it was 3 in the morning, and I had to be up at 8, and I was like, "What is going on?" But I was just in this trance of like, "Oh my goodness, what is this? What is this?" And it was just so sick to me. I was sick to my stomach about myself, and it's my choice. It's nobody else's fault that they posted and I watched it, right? It's my choice, but I just hated it about myself, so I deleted everything, and so yeah, for me to come back and now I'm trying to post daily and do all these things for the podcast. It's hard for me because I'm right there with you. You see so much negativity and these people going out there and just saying the worst things, and just being so hard on people. But if they were in person, they'd never in a million years say those things. They wouldn't act that way. They wouldn't be that person. But it's given them a shield to stand behind and use, and the worst comes out in people. So, I'm right there with you, man. I think some of the coolest things have come from like video games in the sense that I have remained in contact with so many people. Like even like jumping in a game and playing with Garrett. I like when would I ever talk to Garrett if it wasn't for a social outing? But we get on games, we play, and just those little connections that you can make, I think, are really cool and really important. But I'm right with you. We're at a point where it's like, are we seeing more good come out of this, or are we seeing more evil come out of this? And I don't know. I don't know what that answer is. So if I'm on this platform, I'm truly trying to dedicate and be as positive and as good of a light as I can, and that's kind of an inspiration of this too. Was that I just saw so much darkness and everybody's so angry and wants to be so right and so opinionated. It's like, well, let's talk about it. Why can't we just take a minute?
Yeah.
Let's sit down one on one and let's just talk about these things. We don't have to be angry. We don't have to hate each other. Like, let's just talk. So I'm right there with you, man.
I
It's
think
crazy.
to me, like social media, games and social media to me are a little bit different. I think social media kind of ruined gaming, casual gaming for us normal people that work, and
Oh yeah.
our life is not gaming. because
Yep.
it's hard because everybody wants to be a streamer who makes way too much money to sit at home and play video games all day. It makes it very hard to get on once a week and play with your friends and not compete. Uh, but on the other side, like social media, I don't know if it's the algorithms or whatnot, but like every time you get on it, to me, it's like negative news, negative this. This is like, I don't want to like highlight bad things that are happening right now, but it's so just, dude, go, let's look at all the bad stuff. When I do go on like Facebook, for example, the only videos I genuinely like enjoy watching is there's a few people they like you've probably seen him. I forget the dude's name, Josh in like Minneapolis, for example. He goes around and just helps homeless communities and
Mm,
makes a video on his like here's a camera on his chest. He goes record asking people what he can do to help their day. I think that stuff is so cool, and that's like the 10% of social media I love is like there's no way they'd be doing this 15 years ago. There's no way he'd be paying for this. But he's generally impacting a lot of lives in a cool, positive way from social media. So
yeah.
I don't know.
I think one thing that kind of stuck out to me too is that, yeah, when you're, it takes so much time, and when you're just scrolling and scrolling, like, and I catch myself now is just like, even if it's like a Snapchat reel or something, and I'm like, oh, 30 minutes just went by, and I look up and my daughter's still playing and my wife's next to me, and I'm like, oh shit, like, why? Time is so valuable, man. It's just put the phone down. Put it down. There's time for everything, you know. Obviously they call it doom scrolling, and Darian lives by it. She's like, the only way I can fall asleep is doom scrolling for 30 minutes a night. And I'm like, you know what? Kudos to you. She doesn't do it in the day. It's just at night, and that's fine. And everybody has their niche, but it's just like, yeah, just take the time, put it down, live in the moment, and just enjoy what you have. And if you don't have what you want, go get it,
Yeah.
attack it. You know. Um, but yeah.
I thought it was very crazy about a month ago when you told me you started a podcast. I'm like, the guy that has deleted all social media for years is putting
I
on
know.
a podcast.
I know.
But like, I listened to like your first episode. This is cool. I've never thought like, hey, dude, you should go make a podcast because it's to each their own. Like, this is cool, but I never would have expected that
Yeah,
a year ago from you. That's for sure.
it was the craziest thing because, yeah, like I said in the intro, it's just like me and Darren were just sitting there. It was just like, what would we do if no money was involved? Because we were just stressing about life, you know, just like the kid, having another kid, job's not going great, you know, she's in school, just all these things. And it's like, let's take a second and, like, if none of this mattered, what would you spend your free time doing? Because I had also found, like, when Freya's in bed, Darian's doing her schoolwork. It's 7 o'clock at night, right? I don't go to bed till midnight. I have 5 hours to kill. Am I gonna go play video games? If I do that 5 hours a day, 7 days a week, that's 35 hours. That's a full time job. Am I gonna go play video games full time to get nothing out of it and just kill time? Or what else could I do? And it started the brainstorm, and it's just like I would love to do this. And so what's the next step? Just go fucking do it,
Yeah.
you know? And so it's a crazy thing. And like I said, I find myself in the same shoes every day where I'm like, am I really editing a clip to post to social media right now? The guy who hates social media and doesn't like it, you know? But I think doing it for the right reasons, and I think that was the thing. It took me a long time to build up a core of why I wanted to do this and what I was going to focus on, in baby steps. And not to branch off into a side topic, but I think that's one of the best things that I've learned as an adult is to set goals, but give yourself time to accomplish them. I was always all right, this is my goal, and I'm going to finish it by the end of the week. If it was like, I'm going to get $100,000, I would have said, well, I'm going to do that by Friday. Whether it was impossible or not, it was, I don't know why, but I always like put time restraints on my goals. And the best thing I think I did was say, hey, let's put it out there. Let's put it in the bubble and say, hey, I want to accomplish this. And then let's just take it day by day. What are we going to do just to chip away at that, right? Just take that chisel and mold that frame to the point where you get to where you want to be. And so it took months, but just planning it and slowly taking the time, making to fruition, and here we are doing it. So I think if there's anything in your life that you can put out into the air and just slowly chisel away at it, it'll come true, whether it's small, big, or in between.
Yeah, and I think dude, it's so crazy being in like a fitness. You hear this all the time, like I want to do this, I want to do that. Just do it, unless you physically can't do it or like it's financially related, which most things are not. Stop telling yourself I want to. Just freaking do it. I want to
Yeah.
get in shape. I want to make time for the gym. it's crazy to me when people tell me that I like have to keep a straight face and not like freak out on them. It's like time, for example. Everybody, dude, time is a weird concept, but everybody has the exact same amount of hours in a day, and what you choose to do with it is like person to person, completely different. It is so interesting of what people do with their own time,
Yeah.
what they value and what they don't value, and what they make time for and what they don't.
Yeah, and I'm sure everyone's guilty of it. You know what they spend their time on, and they can self-reflect and be like, "Oh shit, I might have spent a
Yeah.
little too much time. I didn't really get anything out of it." And you have to have those down periods, right? You have to have like that dopamine unload and just like relax and try to be yourself because I think obviously you can overstimulate and go the negative way, but I don't think that's happening for very many people we know. I don't think there's very many people who are so on point and just never give it up that they're overstimulating themselves. So I'm right there with you. And sometimes those steps can be hard to take, but I think it's the best
Yeah.
thing to do. So
I put a little pause in this. I can run to the bathroom.
by all means, do what you must. I'm gonna check my battery too, see how where we're at. Yeah, we're gonna die. Okay, let's switch out cameras. This one. Oh fuck. Camera. Hmm. Well, that's not good.
Okay.
Well, I may be in trouble because my camera died and it says that I can't switch cameras while recording.
Oh.
Let's see. Well, we're gonna play with it. So I'm gonna stop